All right, we finally finished with that robot, and we're now going to move on to this ray gun, or this futuristic weapon. The first thing that I noticed right out the bat is this part of the gun right here is really messed up. We're going to fix that. Also, if you look inside here, you can see the bottom part of this sight. That needs to be fixed as well. And there's probably a small handful of other things. To get started, I'm going to go and delete the camera and the lamp. Look at the lamp is actually inside of the object, or partially inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those right away. I'm going to reset the 3D cursor to the center, just because that's where I like it. I'm going to set this thing up in ortho view so that it's even with the red line on the bottom. And just look at it in top view, and if I think that this is centered, I'll probably just leave it the way it is. I think it looks pretty good. So those are the initial things. Oh yeah, let's turn on our back face culling, because almost always it's off by default. Now when you turn that off, it's hard to tell if this is working or not. So just for the time being, until we get that fixed, I'm actually going to turn it back off again, because it helps me spot that problem a little bit better. I'm going to leave this open to remind me to do that. Okay. So let's go ahead and address that first so that we can close this up and forget about it. Go to edit mode, use your face selection tool, and do a loop face select on this part of the geometry. Now you have to take a closer look at it to figure out if this is the inside or the outside. And it looks like it's hard to tell, but it looks like it's the inside. And the reason why I say that is it's supposed to be like, I did one loop selection, so it's supposed to be one loop of faces. If it was the outside, it would end right here, but you can see that it actually ends pretty far down there. So this is probably the inside. It doesn't really matter. What I'm going to end up doing is scaling this. If it was the outside, I would scale it outwards. If it's the inside, I'll scale inwards. But you can see that when I go to scale out, it's wrong. So go the opposite direction. You can see that this is what you want. What I'm trying to do here is add some thickness to this barrel. So now that problem has gone away. Now the only thing I want to do other than that to this little section is I'm going to loop select the back of this and just face fill that so that you can't see into the geometry of this object. Another thing I just noticed too is that he has the smoothing on, the smooth shading on. So I'm going to put that on flat just to make this look a little bit more like the actual geometry. Okay, so that's the first step. Remember I pointed out that you could see the bottom part of this sight. It was sticking through. Well, now you can't see it. So fixing the interior part of that barrel also fixed the sight problem that we had. However, if you go and you hide everything but the sight, one of the things that you should notice is that we don't really need some of the geometry here. Specifically these bottom faces. They're hidden inside of the gun barrel. Matter of fact, I can probably get rid of a little bit extra geometry. So you can see it has these beveled edges, and we don't really need all that geometry to make this work right. So I'm going to actually delete all of these faces. Let's go ahead and unhide and just take a closer look at the edge here. And I think, yeah, you can see a little crack right there. So what I'm going to want to do is select this edge right here. And let's find out if it loops all the way around. I'm not sure if it does. Okay. I'm going to select linked and hide everything but this. And then, yeah, you can see it's a full loop all the way around. Now I got to go select it again. All I'm going to do with this is just push it down into the gun barrel so that it disappears out here. You won't see any orange at all. And also, you don't see any orange poking through here. So in other words, you don't see it creeping out the other side like this. It's inside the geometry of that barrel. If you want to double check, you can actually look at it straight on and turn on wireframe mode. Maybe this helps. So once it's gone, that sight is fixed. Let's go take a look at the other sight, this piece over here. I'm going to hide everything but that. And again, let's look up underneath. Same problem. I had a feeling it would be like this. So let's go ahead and fix that. Take a look around. It looks like just all of this is just wasted geometry. So just go ahead and delete those faces. We're going to grab this stuff and we're probably going to pull it down, but before we do, let's go see if it's actually a problem or not. It doesn't look like it's a problem, so I'm just going to leave it there. The trigger is probably has some wasted geometry too. So let's just do the same thing with the trigger. Yep. You can see this face and a couple of this beveled edge here. Probably don't need any of that, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete those faces and leave it just like that. And other than that, you'll probably find here and there, you'll probably find like some double, I'm not sure, but maybe these bevels are probably, I'm not going to mess with those. Let's see if I can find any other problems. See, do we really need two loops here? Doesn't seem like this loop is doing anything, so I'm going to just dissolve that edge. This loop too doesn't seem like it's really doing anything. So I'm going to dissolve that edge. And if I were to dissolve this, what would happen? It looks exactly the same. Okay, so got rid of that one. And let's take a closer look here. Looks like this edge, maybe. Here's another one. Here's another one, and another one. There's another one. These are very close together. Another one, another. All of those edges can probably be dissolved. It's going to be hard to see inside here, but I think that's just a single edge inside there. So we're going to leave that the way it is. And we might have some doubles over here as well. So let's go take a closer look. There's one there for sure. That looks like one. Nope, not that one. This one right here. Here's another one. Here's another one. And here's one here. Another one over here. I'm going to just dissolve those. And I might have one here, I'm not sure, but this might be an edge I can get rid of. Yeah, I'm willing to get rid of that. I might even get rid of this. This has a little bit of a bend to it. I think I'll leave this one because it looks like it actually adds a little character to this shape. We got a little bit too much going on down here, so maybe what I'll do is eliminate the middle one. This middle edge right here is probably useless. Let's take a closer look. I don't see that it's actually doing anything that useful, so I'm going to dissolve that. These are being used because of this point right here. This all got created by some beveled edge. It's a little messy because you can see it doesn't exist on this side. That's a tough call. It's only here. I think I can dissolve that. Let's try. Okay, I get rid of that. I'm going to leave all these beveled edges the way they are. And let's take a look at this piece over here. Let me zoom in on it. I'm going to probably get rid of this edge. I'm not sure. I have a feeling it's just like the last site that we just worked on. And I'm willing to bet that I can probably just dissolve this. Well, let's take a look. Select all and hide everything else. Yeah, it would have been fine. Just let that go just like that. And that's about it, I think. So let's take a look at the trigger. anything that we can dissolve here. Maybe this edge right here, because it doesn't seem to be adding any shape to this at all. It just seems like wasted geometry. So let's dissolve those edges. I'll be honest with you, these edges don't seem to be doing much of anything either. They're just a flat side. As a matter of fact, if you look at this straight on, it doesn't stand out at all. If I were to grab this, you can see that it's really useless. So I'm going to select those. They loop all the way around apparently. I'm going to dissolve those as well. Okay, so it's looking a little bit better. Probably still more to go. Let's take a look down here. You can see here's something. Here's another one. I'm not sure. So this one for some reason goes all the way down and underneath, and this one doesn't. Maybe I got the wrong one. Yeah, I should have grabbed that one right there. Wow, there's a lot of geometry here. It goes up and underneath like that, all the way up over here. It ends up there somewhere. So I think I just get the strange feeling that all of this whole loop is useless. I use the word useless because, I mean, it's not adding any geometry at all to the shape. It's literally just a parallel edge that can be washed away and it will be exactly the same shape. So watch, you'll see that there's no changes, dissolve edges, and nothing really changed. So if it doesn't leave any holes and it doesn't change the shape of this in any way, then it's probably safe to dissolve. Come in here. This is kind of a weird shape down here, but it looks like all of these edges are being used to create this shape right here. I'm not thrilled about it because it doesn't really add a lot to the look of this gun, but I actually don't mind the way that looks. The only thing is I probably want to edit this a little bit more and just make it a little bit more exaggerated by just dragging this edge down a little bit, just to give it more of a reason for having that geometry there in the first place. So what I'm going to do is just bring it down just a little bit like that. I might do the same thing with this. Maybe I could bring this up a little bit just to give that a little bit more of an exaggerated opening there. So I'm going to just leave it like that, and I'm happy. Just keep looking around. You'll continuously find edges that you can wash away, like maybe this. Well, I can't get rid of this one because of this point right here. So that one needs to stay. Well, it's definitely better than it was when I started. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I think that's going to be all the edits that I'm going to do to this shape. Now let's go turn on. Having this open reminded me that I need to turn backface culling on. So now that that's on, I can go ahead and hide the panel. Technically, I don't really need it on anymore, but if, for example, if I do something like this, if I redesign this tip so that I'm redesigning these triangles to be quads, I'm probably going to appreciate that backface culling was on it because it might help me recognize some flip normals when I go and reshape that geometry, if I decide to do it that way. So that's one of the reasons why I would keep it on right here. So let's go back to object mode and save this. In the next lecture, we're going to actually start unwrapping this. I'm going to start with, we're going to focus on these pieces right here. And then we're going to break this down in another lecture and see how much we can get done. And then we're going to do our texture atlasing. So go ahead and try to unwrap these, see how you do. And then I'll meet you in the next lecture.